Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now with me, Shail D'Souza. Along with me is my colleague Alex Matthew, and we have our experts today, Kunal Bothra as well as Gaurang Shah. So let's get started with the viewer queries. And this one is coming from Shiva. He said he wants a long-term view on Gillette India. Is the business mature or still some growth left? Gaurang, straight to you with this one. What's your view on Gillette India for the longer term? Do you think that there is still some growth left in that company?
Well, it's one of the niche companies when it comes to men's and women's grooming, Cheryl, and has got a huge market share. Disclosure, I am a dedicated customer of the products that Gillette manufactures. Unfortunately, we don't have a coverage, so I can't say buy, sell and hold, but given the market share and the growth prospects, both globally and domestically, these kind of shares, Cheryl, unless you don't need the money, you should stay invested. Because of no coverage, I won't be able to comment buy, sell and hold, but great company with strong balance sheet and strong market share.
All right, I'm coming to you again for the next one, Gaurang. This one's from Clifford from Bangalore. He's wondering whether to get into one or all of these. He's named Bajaj Auto, Hero MotoCorp and Eicher. And he's a long-term investor. He's not in a hurry to sell. So he's wondering which of these to get into, or should he nibble into all three of them?
So fundamentally, Alex, we have coverage on all three of them. But the other prudent aspect of investing in stock market is that you should never overexpose yourself to one particular sector. On the other positive side, two-wheeler manufacturing companies suffer the least when it comes to chip shortages. Four-wheeler manufacturing companies have to pay a bigger price compared to two-wheeler manufacturing companies. So if I have to pick one or two from the three names that you have mentioned, it would be Bajaj Auto and Eicher Motors.
Okay, this one is from Niranjana. Wants to know about Hind Copper. Short-term view on this counter. Is it a good buy? Kunal, Hind Copper today rallying in the session. Also, there is a news report saying that Vedanta is saying that they will look to buy government stake in Hind Copper. They've been saying it for a while, no doubt. But Hind Copper, do you think for the short term, is it a good buy now?
I think it's a good buy, Cheryl. The stock has from 175, 180 has come back towards 105, 110. I think if I'm not wrong, it made a low of 109 odd, just about last week or the week prior to that. So I think it's formed a double bottom pattern at those 110 levels. It's a very high beta stock. So, if you look at the last 15 months of chart patterns for Hindustan Copper, the stock actually bottomed out in the month of March at a point where it was just about 20 odd rupees. From 20, it moved up to 180. And then from 180, it's come back towards 100, 110 kind of support territory. So it's a stock which looks very attractive to me. It's priced pretty well. So I think in that regards, the support points for the stock are very strong. I would suggest a buy or a hold on Hindustan Copper, assuming if you've bought at lower levels, or if you're looking to buy, I think you can start nibbling at current levels as well.
Okay. I'll come back to you on this next one, Kunal. We've got Tata Elxsi that is in focus today. It's one of the top gainers, or rather it was. Let's pull up the chart and see what it's trading right now. We've got Nipun from Chandigarh who's bought at levels of 5,810. He's got 110 shares. He's wondering whether to book out right now and enter at lower levels if there is a correction. How are the charts looking?
You should continue to hold up on Tata Elxsi. Yes, the stock is up some 5% or 6% today. It's jumped up quite well. Again, broken past about that 6,000, 6,100, which was the previous swing high for Tata Elxsi. But I think it's a fabulous chart, a stock which has just not looked back, in the last 16 months, 17 months of this market rally. I think just about tells that it's an exceptional move and something which is very rare to see in stocks, and something which has a very long-term effect into stock prices. So I maintain the bullish stance on Tata Elxsi, and I believe that if you have bought at lower levels, you should continue to hold up.
Right, this one is coming from Marion Portman. Have 80 shares of Bandhan Bank, which is purchased at 298 rupees per share. I can hold on for the next 5 years. So how does it look fundamentally and technically, and what could be the target for the next 5 years? Gaurang, this one I'm coming to you straight away. Bandhan Bank, do you think it makes sense to stay put with this holding for the next 5 years? Marion has 80 shares purchased at 298 rupees per share.
I think first of all, hold on to it, but don't deprive yourself or increasing your investment, Cheryl, in Bandhan Bank. Having said that, because of the exposure of loan book to semi-urban and rural India and the ticket size, there were certain issues a while back, given the backdrop of pandemic and of course the moratorium that was announced. But I guess that's all thing of the past. We should see growth coming back, and we at Jyot believe that starting second quarter of this financial year, the curtain raiser is going to be on 8th with TCS for the second quarter. This is going to be a turnaround for good for banking in NBFCs. So stay invested, and if you have capital, deployable capital from a long-term point of view, I think sub 300 levels would be a decent level wherein you can look at adding to the stock.
The upstream oil companies, we've been watching them, Kunal, in the recent past, ONGC, Oil India. We've got Priyanth from Jaipur who's looking at oil and gas. So he's not mentioned whether he's looking at upstream or downstream. Which would you pick from this space for a 1 year time frame?
Well, I think I would pick up maybe a ONGC even from current levels. The stock has given a multi-year breakout at current juncture, breaking past above many of its resistances. So even though the stock is into a high momentum zone, but I still believe that it looks very attractive purely on the basis of charts on the long-term basis for ONGC. I think even the stocks like BPCL, HPCL, IOC. So even with crude oil spiking up to about 80 plus levels, I still believe crude the OMC stocks, they can do quite well from current levels. Many of these stocks, for example, IOC has given a big breakout on the charts. More of a trending breakout, and something which has been pending out for the stock for last so many years. So I believe in that aspect as well. The OMC stocks can continue to move up higher. So I would suggest that you could look at nibbling into these names even from current levels.
All right, this one is from Vimla George, saying she has 500 shares of Aarti Drugs, which purchased at 190 rupees per share. Should I hold or sell? And apart from that, you also have S. Jane, who's only written Aarti Drugs on our chat. Please, next time, do mention what exactly are you looking out for when you are asking a query on a particular stock. But nevertheless, Kunal, your view on Aarti Drugs, should Vimla George hold on to it or should sell? 500 shares purchased at 190 rupees per share.
I think I would suggest to hold on. The stock did pretty well from the 2020 levels, March 2020 levels of 125 odd. The stock did exceptionally well, jumped up to almost I think 950 or 1000. So it did pretty well in that first initial 6-7 months or 8 months of price rally, and it's now going through a sideways consolidation. These are best times for long-term investors to try and accumulate, because the stock has given time correction. It's also gone through a price correction. A 20%, 30% drop from its previous highs typically is a good level to try and enter into the stock. So if you're a long-term investor and if you have a time frame for another 2 years, 3 years plus, then I believe at 640 odd, Aarti Drugs could be a good buy.
Okay, Puneet Miglani is writing in from New Delhi, points out that he's not doing too well. I hope that you get well soon. We will take your query so that you can rest, as you point out. Kunal, IEX is a counter that he's looking at. He's looking only for an intraday target. Is there any possibility that you can help him out?
Not sure of what purchase price or what the buy price of the viewer is over here, but I think IEX from an intraday perspective looks to be more into a range. I think 628 seems to be a support for the stock on the lower end, and closer to the upside, I think 644, 648 could be the higher end of the range for IEX. So depending on your purchase price, you can position your targets. 644 to 648 could be a possible intraday target for IEX.
He wants a technical view on Jubilant Food at current market price for the longer term. What's your take, Kunal? Jubilant Food, can someone look to invest at current market price for the longer term?
Well, I would suggest that you have a buy on dips approach for Jubilant Food. What the stock is going through in last 2 months is a patch of sideways correction consolidation. So it's been stuck into this range of 4,000 to 4,200 for the last 1.5 odd months. But what has happened is in this consolidation, the indicators have started to go into a downward trend. So the RSI, for example, has given a breakdown signal, on the charts, which means that there is a possibility that this consolidation could give way to some short-term correction for Jubilant Food. So it's a good long-term buy, but I would suggest that a better entry point could be reached if you have a buy on dips approach. You can start at current levels, and assuming if the RSI indicator doesn't reverse, then you may look at the stock or adding the stock at levels of 3,800 or 3,850 as the second tranche of buy.
Gaurang, I don't know if it's a sign of the times with the markets as elevated as they are, but we have a lot of short-term queries today, unfortunately. But we've got a query coming in from Chandan Jain from Hubli, Karnataka, and he's asking about Sun Pharma, which he bought at levels of 650. He's wondering whether to hold or sell at this juncture.
We have been having coverage on Sun Pharma, and things have turned around for good for Sun Pharma, both in terms of the negative news flow as far as the US FDA is concerned. Secondly, their acquisition in form of Taro now contributing to a great extent, which was a drag on the balance sheet, and the verbatim from the management post the first quarter earnings. So if you are in for the long term, hold on to it. Somewhere close to about 950 is the target. You can revisit your investment at that point.
This one is from Tarun Gambhir. He's saying he wants a short-term view on Ion Exchange. Kunal, do you track this counter, Ion Exchange? And if you do, how are the charts looking for the short term?
Don't expect major movement into the stock. It's been lying in this 200 point range. 2200 and 2400 is the range for Ion Exchange. 1.5 months. So I think from the August lows, the stock has been stuck into this range. Also, I think one of the catch is that it's a very low liquid stock. I think if I'm not wrong, the average trading volume is just about 25,000 or 30,000 shares for the stock. So very low liquid in terms of the quality of the stock, as well as it's stuck into a range. So I don't sense any major short-term trading opportunity emerging into this stock.
Okay, we've got another and quite a few questions coming in from the pharma space. AstraZeneca is another counter. We've got Naseem who's asking about this. He's got 14 shares, Gaurang, at levels of 3,650. Would you say that he should hold on? And if you do have coverage, do you have a target price that you can share?
No coverage, but let me say this, Alex. Stocks like AstraZeneca, Honeywell Automation, MRF, Gillette that we just spoke about a while back. These are the pedigree stocks that one should just keep on holding in your portfolio, and of course they are, in terms of volumes also, you don't see any large volumes happening. But given the outlook on the pharma sector that we have at Geojit, along with that, this being an MNC pharma, unless you need the money, you should just keep your investments.
Okay, this one is from Ajay. He's saying he's bought LIC Housing Finance today at 448 rupees per share. He wants to know about the next 1 month. He wants to hold on to this counter for the next 1 month, and he wants to know what sort of a target can he look at. Kunal, can you help him out on this one?
Looking at the charts for LIC Housing as well as many of these housing finance companies, there's a definite change of trend which has emerged. So L&T Finance, M&M Finance, Indiabulls Housing, HDFC, LIC Housing, these stocks have recovered very well from their 1 month or 1.5 odd month lows for themselves. So which means that there is a change of trend which is definitely happening for the financial services stocks. So probably on that aspect, I would suggest that you can hold on to it. I would sense that if the trend persists for these stocks and the group of stocks, then you can probably expect LIC Housing to come back towards at least a 475 to 480 over the next 1 month, 1 to 2 months.
Sorry about that. Sorry, I was just checking this stock. We've got Aishwarya from Kerala who's asking about Ratan in India. or Ratan in India Enterprises. Kunal, do you have coverage at all? She's bought at levels of 64 and she points out that it has come down significantly. What should one do in this situation? I'm not sure if you'll have coverage, but can you help her out?
Alex, I don't track the stock, so I'll give it a skip.
Fair enough. Unfortunately, just bear in mind that not all of the stocks that you have looked at our experts have coverage of, especially in a situation where they are either penny stocks or have very low volumes. Let's talk about a broad question then. Gaurang, I know that this is a very, very broad question, but I'll request you to, narrow it down to maybe one or two stocks. If somebody is looking from the broader markets, which according to you is the biggest opportunity that you see? Brijesh Dave from Delhi is asking.
So, amongst the mid-cap names, I would possibly go and pick Tata Power. The stock has been a stellar performer. We've been constantly upgrading the targets on the fundamental side for Tata Power. So Tata Power would be one. And if I had to look from one auto name, auto ancillary, I beg your pardon, auto commercial vehicle manufacturing company, then that would be Ashok Leyland.
Coming from Srinivas Rangaraju, he's saying that he's bought SBI at around 400 rupees per share. What to do? I'm a long-term investor. Gaurang, Srinivasan should continue to hold on to SBI for the longer term, or what should he do?
Undoubtedly, Cheryl, and I don't think you should have any kind of worry in terms of your investments into SBI. And as I was mentioning a while back, we at Jubilant believe that banking and finance are going to be the turnaround points as far as the earnings season is concerned. And we've upgraded our targets on SBI post the first quarter earnings to 520. And if you do get any dips, maybe closer to 450 or below 450, don't deny yourself the right to increase your investments. And I'm quite sure that post the second, third quarter earnings, you're going to have a lot of re-ratings upwards for State Bank of India, and it's one of the beneficiaries in terms of the IBC resolution that we are witnessing, and of course along with that the loan book growth, which will translate into net interest income and margins moving upwards, and of course your gross and net NPA coming down.
Okay, I wanted to take a question on IRCTC. This one's coming to you though, Kunal. We've got, I don't know the name. The person is not given us the name. Please do give us your names if you're sending us a message. But IRCTC, I believe it's a current series 4,000 strike call. What is the outlook? The question really, and I think I've seen this on social media as well, could it even hit 5,000 before the split?
Well, very difficult to say and reply to such questions, frankly, Alex. I think when you're looking at buying options, when you're looking at trading these stocks, and specifically for names like IRCTC, you have to have a classic mechanism in place. Now, either you buy at a breakout point, and once you've bought the stock into a breakout zone, you then try and trade your stop losses. I think that's a far more better and efficient way to try and trade a stock like IRCTC. So look at the the last 4 or 5 trading sessions, the stock has not broken its previous hourly chart or 2-hour chart lows in that sense. So you can keep that as a trailing stop loss and keep on riding up higher. Assuming if you've bought those 4,000 call strike, and I'm sensing if you've bought maybe a couple of days back and you're sitting in good profits, I would suggest have a trailing stop loss mechanism and then keep on riding the trend higher till the time it lasts.
All right, this next query is, we've got a couple of queries actually on Adani Power. We have Somnath Mahanti who's asking about Adani Power, and also we had one more query I kind of missed. This one is from Lasya, also wants a view on Adani Power holding 300 shares, purchased at 166 rupees per share. What sort of a target can she look at least for the next 2 years? Kunal, Adani Power, how does it look to you? Lasya and also Somnath want a view on this one.
See, I think it's better that you start, getting into quality. We've been highlighting, in last, so many times of this query as well. on the show, I've been highlighting that rather than looking at Adani Power, you have Tata Power as a better option. NTPC, Power Grid, even Torrent Power. I think in that sense could probably be more better names in terms of long term. So I would suggest that rather than looking at Adani Power, because the stock is into a lot of news flow and events as such. Why not look at stocks like Tata Power, Torrent Power, or NTPC and Power Grid in that sense?
The rapid fire segment. We've got Akshay from, and gentlemen, you're familiar with the concept. Gaurang, Akshay from Bengaluru asking about Infosys versus Larsen and Toubro Technology Services for the very long term. Which would you suggest?
Let me take this across to you, Kunal. This one is from Radesh. Wants a view on KPR Mills for the next 3 months. Will it cross to 600 mark?
Attractive to me, and I think if you try and trade your stop losses to 400, 420 range for KPR Mills and keep on riding, there is a high possibility that the stock can cross those psychological marks as well.
Okay, Gaurang, this next one is for you. The question is from Akshay from Bengaluru. He's looking at Infosys versus Larsen and Toubro Technology Services. Which should he buy for the long term?
So Alex, I would go with both 50-50. Both are great companies and leaders in the respective sector.
Okay, this one is Minakshi. Dilip Biltcoin purchased at 569 rupees per share. What should she do? What's your take, Kunal?
I think you could look to hold on to the stock. It's going through a big breakout mode at current levels, and looking at the momentum, I would suggest a target close to 700, 720 for Dilip Biltcoin from current levels.
Okay, Newgen Software is the counter. Kunal, do you have coverage? If so, can you buy at the current level? Is Ram Kumar's question.
I don't track the stocks, Alex, so won't be able to comment on it.
This one is from Ritesh. Triveni Engineering bought 100 shares at 210 rupees per share for the short term. Can you suggest a stop loss and a target, Kunal?
Can you repeat the name of the stock, Cheryl?
Triveni Engineering.
I would suggest keep a stop loss at 192. I think that's a durable support for the stock. For Triveni, then you can look at a target potential of at least 227 on the stock.
Okay. Okay. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time, and to all the viewers who've tuned in and maybe who didn't get their answers today, we'll be back tomorrow and we'll take a lot more. Gaurang as well as Kunal, thank you so much for your time and also your patience. We're slipping into a short break, but more on the other side, so do stay tuned.